Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Straightforward Farming Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Reed, alongside Nick McCormick.
Hello, hello.
What's happening with you, Nick? Getting stuff ready to go to the field?
Trying to. We're built a new toolbar for our air seeder this winter, so just about to wrap that up, hopefully.
Yep.
Everything comes out okay on that, and I still got every tractor to service, so.
Yep. You going to look through the owner's manuals before you go to the field? Get everything all
Actually,
burnt in your brain?
Apparently, I am one of the few people that does value those.
I am too.
As poorly as they are sometimes written, I do still look at them occasionally.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do that too. Every year, got the planner manual out. I'm leafing through it for a good week and a half.
There's always a tidbit in there somewhere or another that you forgot or you didn't know, or it amazes me the amount of people that it just never dawns on them to flip through that and maybe take a look.
When I go to the field with the planner's owner's manual is in the planting tractor in case something comes up. Combine, same way. I keep it in the combine. The rest of the year, it's in the shop, in the cabinet, whatever. When I go to the field, I take it with me.
Yep.
I get along fine.
I don't understand some people on that. Like, I think we're in a society, in a world now where it's so much easier to make a phone call
Yeah.
than it is to look it up yourself. And part of that is probably because some of that shit's not set up how it ought to be.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy to find in the service manual, the owner's manual, whatever manual you're looking at as it should be. Or it's your classic, hey, you got the manual for this so I can figure out what fuse F23 is? No, it's at the house. Okay. Have you read it at your house? No. I take them all in the house, put them in my office. But you've never flipped through it from what I've gathered. No, I never look at them. I put them in there so they don't get damaged. But they're not worth the piece of equipment, so now nobody can use it. Like, I don't carry the entire manual set on my truck. Like, whatever. To each their own, you know.
Well, and these manuals are just so stupid nowadays. They're thicker than the Bible. And, tell you 400 ways to adjust a flasher on a combine that I will never need to know. I can clearly look at it and know exactly how to adjust it. Mm-hmm. But as far as something that I need to know, a chain, a belt here, it's just a very brief.
Yeah. My personal favorite, remove part. Well, thanks for the tip. That I never thought of that.
Would have never guessed it.
Yeah. How about a little more in depth on that if it's something tricky? You know, sometimes, yes, it is that simple. Sometimes it's not, you know.
I really think we could make money by just unfucking the manuals. Remove the hex head cap screw. It's a fucking nut and a bolt.
Yeah.
It's not a hex head cap screw.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead and throw in what size it is.
Yeah.
Or a little side note, you can't get it with this. You're going to need this.
Yeah.
Don't even try that. Or, I don't know. You look at those old manuals, like international manuals were actually pretty good on certain things. Like, okay, we're trying to figure out this hydraulic issue. Oh, here's a nice color diagram. And you get this new shit. It's all just black lines and symbols. And there's a whole section devoted to how do you read these symbols. Well, that's freaking neat, but I'm not going to memorize all that shit. And then you're trying to trace it down. Show me an actual picture of it. Color code the damn thing. You would think for the $4,000 they get for the manual that they could color code something, but nope, it's got to be printed in black and white. Apparently, Case, Deere, AGCO, whoever doesn't own a color printer because the ink's too high, as we covered in the last podcast.
Exactly.
The ink's too high, so they can't even afford it. But you would think you could
I
throw
want
that
the manual. So, like, there's been times that Deere have come out to the field, something went goofy, an electronic, a sensor, whatever, and so they'll start going through their service, I guess, but it's on the laptop now. That's the one I want because it basically says, put the truck in park, open the truck door, walk to the piece of equipment. I mean, it is like every single fucking detail. It's like, that's the one I want.
A bunch of that stuff, like the service manual is one thing. The service training manual is a totally different one. You can't get a hold of that one. That's the one that actually has some shit in it that you can do something off of. But they're hard to come by on a lot of things. And it is frustrating. Like, you would think for buying a $400,000 tractor, it would come with all those manuals.
You would think.
How about you just throw that shit in, build it into the price, that's fine. Send me 2 copies of the owner's manual, so one can stay in the tractor, the other one can be in the guy's house where he's never going to read it, and then we'll have one when we get out there. But,
well, and like now on this 700 series Deere Combine that we got, the owner's manual is in the display now. Like I've got the big hardback book, but it's also in the display. It's like, well, who's going to thumb through all, you know what I mean?
Online manuals piss me off every time. It's like, just give me the book. It's so much easier in the book, especially if the book's done correctly. but it seldom is. But it's just like trying to read an article online. It's like, okay, I'm going to read through whatever. Well, there's 4,000 ads. Not that there's ads in your owner's manual, but there's 4,000 ads. You got to click next every time. Nope, I'm done.
I
don't need to read it that bad. I'm done.
Nope.
I'm really curious about the headline.
And half the time it's clickbait.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not digging into it any further than that. Nothing pisses me off more. The few times I have got all the way to the end, they never really tell you on that. They really want you to sign up for something to get to the total end of the story. It's like, you know what? I'll just make it up in my mind. I'm good.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll just make up the details. It's fine.
Yeah. But it's funny though when you compare, and now I get it. It's a bigger tractor, more technology, whatever you want to say there. But like take our 82, 85 Deere that we got. The owner's manual is literally 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, whatever it is. My 4010 is literally 30 pages.
A leaflet, yeah.
And it tells you everything to do.
It probably shows you how to run the valves.
It does, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's all just very cut and dried. At 1,500 hours, do this, as this.
The first 15 pages are safety warnings. About the safety warnings they're going to tell you in the next 45 pages. Yeah, don't care about any of that shit. Safety third. Yeah. Get me to the meat and potatoes of this deal. And the index really is an index. It's not really organized how it ought to be. Not how the librarians taught us it should be back in the day.
Exactly.
And can we have a Cliff Notes version? Like, give me the farmer's version of it. Like, not full on farmer, but give me the tech version of it. Like from an actual technician that's worked on something. If you grab the book to a 2630 Deere monitor or Pro 700 or whatever, there again, it's 1.5 inches thick or whatever. Okay, so you've obviously baked in a whole bunch of shit in this manual that I'm never going to need. But how about a section that just covers what 95% of the people are going to need to know? In some simple terms, I don't need it made up into the correct, universal terms for the world. How about somebody gives me the North American Midwestern beer drinking redneck version of this manual that says, hey, if you want to switch this run screen to show this, click that instead of,
Yeah. Just like I bitched about on TikTok a few years ago on the cornhead, I was looking for whatever it was, and it had something to do with the snouts, whatever. I tried to think of all these names. Nope, that's a row unit crop divider.
Yeah.
Who the fuck calls it that? It's a snout.
Yeah. Exactly. Or my personal favorite, raise the bonnet. Do I have to steal an Amish kid?
Yeah.
Do I have to drive somewhere and grab an Amish kid? Like, it's not a bonnet.
Yeah.
It's a hood. You can just call it that. It's fine. It's always been a hood. It's always going to be a hood.
Yeah.
That is going to get nothing but worse, though. Like right now, your major companies are literally going through their books and their parts, etc., and they are politically correcting all the terms. There will be no master-slave cylinders in the future. I don't know what they're switching it to, but if you look at houses now, they don't have a master bedroom. They have a primary bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot make this up anymore.
It's like I said in the last one, like these are first world problems by people that have the illusion of too much money.
I never even realized where the term master bedroom came from until you just said that. I just assumed it was.
And I didn't give a shit before.
Same way.
Master bedroom's the big one. That's the big one. That's where the master sleeps. That's where my dad was at.
Exactly.
He was the master of my house, still is.
Right.
If you don't believe me, go to his house.
Exactly.
He'll let you know pretty quick.
Yeah.
But no, that's the primary bedroom.
Just unbelievable. And that's what really pisses me off with all these manuals, that we have to go to these universal symbols.
Yes.
Because it's a global thing now. But if I go to Deere and try to buy just some little trinket off the shelf, there's 900 languages in the instructions. Well, you're doing it there, so just give me the American manual.
What burns me more than anything on that, on your monitor, it's just software. You know where that tractor is being sold. You know where somebody's updated that software, because we always got to have an update. It doesn't have to be universal for shit. You know that software is being installed in Central Illinois. Put it in Central Illinois language. And we've covered this before, but a squiggly line doesn't tell me glow plugs.
No.
What tells me glow plugs is wait to start, glow plugs, anything other than a squiggly line. And that's one of the more simpler ones. Like, I just had an issue a year ago. A guy called me. Hey, tractor keeps losing water. Okay. Well, I got water coming out of my hydraulics. Well, I think you're putting water in the hydraulics. Oh, no. It says low water, so we've been adding to this reservoir. I'm like, well, you're putting water in the hydraulics. Nope, that's not the light. No, it is the light. It's a squiggly line, wavy line in a square box. Yeah, that's the one. Yep, that's for hydraulics. No shit. Yep, yeah, it is. But if it just said coolant is low, he would have known if the coolant was low. But the coolant wasn't low, but the hydraulic reservoir was low, and he was put in the wrong compartment. But if we'd had a term that actually said what it was, but we can't do that anymore, just tell me what it is, especially if it's just on a display.
I agree.
There's absolutely no reason for it. I get if it's a gauge, okay, we're making these gauges. We don't want to make 165 versions of them. I might grant you a little bit of freedom on that. Maybe, probably not, but maybe. But on a display, it's all software. Just make it say what it means.
Yeah, I agree. Deere's bad about that. Steering redundant, blah, 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 code, whatever. Call your John Deere dealer. Why don't you just tell me there? The sensor by the right back wheel is fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Call somebody. Exactly. At least I know what to tell them when I,
Yeah, exactly.
I give them this code, well, then they got to look the code up. Just tell me.
Yeah. It took more effort to give me a code than to just say what it was, I
had a parts guy tell me one time, and it wasn't my local parts guy. For my local listen, I'm not throwing him under the bus because it was not him that told me this, but he worked at a Deere dealer and always talked about these guys that would call in wanting his part, and they couldn't explain it. And this was back on older stuff that probably should have been explained. It was guys that were just kind of lazy and didn't really want to put any effort into it. Trying to tell what it is. Well, this guy didn't have a clue. They're using these mumbo jumbo terms, And so he said, so one day my boss just told me when guys like that call, just give them any part. Don't matter what it is. Don't even matter if it goes on that tractor. Give them any part, and I promise you, when they call back the next time, they'll have every bit of information that you need. I got to think that. He's probably right.
He's probably right, yeah.
They're going to get home and be pissed, and then, so now we're going to figure out what it is.
Yeah. Or my personal favorite, like, we got to have the serial number to look this up. Okay. We put that in. Well, then there's a serial number break. Which side are you? Damn it, I already put the serial number in. So you should know. You should have it divided out. When Case went to their new system there, it's been several years ago now. And to their credit, they did respond to every one of my emails. They even called. We had some nice conversations over it or whatnot. And they actually solved a lot of the problems that I complained about. And I was nice about it. Because the guy on the other end of the phone, like, somewhat oblivious to my end of the spectrum, right? So she was nice about it, and they did address several of them, and they fixed it. But, like, one of my examples to her was, I'm like, okay, I got a blah, blah, blah number tractor from the 70s, okay? I want to look up parts for the engine. Well, what engine's in it? I'm like, yep, be nice to know, wouldn't it? Well, what engine's in it? I'm like, I don't know. And neither does any farmer in America on the, if it's a 1466, I can tell you. Yeah. But if it's a 284, I don't know.
Yeah.
The customer didn't know. I don't have the tractor here. I'm just trying to look it up for him so I can order the part for him. So when he brings it in, we can put it on, whatever it is, Don't you think maybe you could link the two? Maybe it'd be a neat little concept there. Maybe give us some options. Nope. It's not there. You got to look it up by the engine. Well, that... Just stupid shit like that just wastes time. Like, I feel for parts guys these days.
Oh, I do too.
Because you talk to these old folks, John Doe the third, he had all that shit memorized. And like I always told my dad, I'm like, that's neat. He started when the M came out, and he worked till the 806. Half that shit was the same.
Yeah.
And you had X number of models, and we had it in normal layman's terms, and there wasn't as much to remember. I'm like, now, that same... A new parts guy is still having to look up parts from the M all the way to, a 400 stagger or whatever.
Yep.
He can't memorize all that shit.
Well, it's no different. So we got a John Deere 6430 loader tractor. It's an open station. And, Deere, for a while there, they always made a premium and a whatever series it was. I promise you, if you go to my local Deere dealer now, and I'm not knocking these guys if you're listening, but if I go out there tomorrow and we go through this every year, I say, I need an oil filter for a 6430. Is it a premium? I'm like, it's a nothing because it don't have a cab. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's a 6430, but it don't say premium on it. It don't have a cab on it. It's just a open station 6430. But it's shit like that right there, like you just said. And I have no idea if them filters are different from one to the other. I don't know. Maybe that's what they got to type in to look it up. I don't know. But you're right. In the old days, that guy had it memorized, or he could flip right to the page in his book instead of the computer because he didn't have 9,000 models to choose from.
You know, you'd be proud of me. I ran a 6430 earlier this week. I know you got a picture of me in it. It's okay. It's all right. It was nice of my neighbor or my cousin to let me use it for the job I need to get done. And it's fine piece. He was the only reason he let me borrow it. I was using his trench covering deal for tile, and he specifically wanted me to use his tractor just so he could get
exactly.
Which
you got to know the guy.
Which I totally get. I totally get.
He would have lost $10,000 on the deal just to see you drive the John Deere.
Like he physically drove to where I was using it so he could take a picture of me running.
Yeah, and then send it to me immediately.
Yeah, exactly, and a few other people, and that's fine. I get it. I've never knocked a 6430. I think that's a fine little loader tractor. Not my cup of tea necessarily, but it did the job. It's fine. But yeah, it is funny how some of that stuff goes. But
don't you think, and I'm just going to use John Deere for example, instead of paying these 25 idiots to write these manuals to now go back and politically correct them and this and that.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you think it would be money well spent and a benefit to everybody if you said, you know what, this winter, let's put on a free meal, a 2-day free meal, free beer, and let's just invite 50 farmers here and say, you know what, guys, let's go through these manuals and let's just rework these things and put it in layman's terms, because most farmers call stuff the same for the most part. I mean,
don't you think that they purposely make it a cluster so you're just like, the hell with it, I'll just take it to the dealer?
Apparently they do. I mean, they.
But what they don't realize on it is at some point they're wasting the dealer's time, but I suppose they figure they're billing the customer for that. But at some point in time, like you're making the cost of ownership higher because you've made it more complicated than it needs to be. But like my dad always gets frustrated. You call the auto parts store and you need a water pump with a 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but the way their system is set up, they have to input the information. But like I told my dad, I said, on the backside of that, let's say that you call for a water pump and then light bulb comes on, you need front hubs for it. Totally forgot about it, but now I need front hubs. Well, he didn't ask if it was 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive a minute ago. Now you tell him you need front hubs. Now he's either got to go back and start over, or he just randomly picked one because he was scared to ask you.
Sure.
And he gives you the wrong ones. Now you're super pissed because, well, why would I need hubs for that one? Clearly it's a 4-wheel drive. Well, you didn't tell him that.
Right.
I don't know. I'm still fussy with Case IH to get rid of the My Shed app. Like I used to be able to put all my equipment in there and I could just bang, click, go.
Yep.
They got rid of that. They need to go back to that. And I assume maybe none of the manufacturers have that a deal like that, but that would be so much easier.
I can do it out here. Deere's got it.
It would be easier.
And see, and that's what drives me even more nuts is you want to ask him who made the decision to get rid of that. It actually worked and people liked it. So why did you dump it? Who made the final decision that, we don't need that no more? That's too easy. I mean,
maybe it costs too much money to maintain the app. I don't know. Why do we have to hide the serial number? Can we put all those in one common place? Like,
I agree.
Well, it's this serial number, but what's the transmission serial number on it? Well, I didn't really want to lay underneath it, but I guess I will. Like, could we put that like where I could see it? Like, I don't know, maybe put them all together. There's a lot of that stuff I could streamline for them.
They've always got the stupid diagrams on the side, like especially on a combine, the 400 grease points that you're supposed to, which they're not that bad anymore. That nobody ever goes by. No. I mean, you've either memorized it that I know it's here, here, and here, or the other end of the spectrum is the guy don't even grease it anyway. Yeah. So, but why can't we do that with filters? A big sticker on the side. This is the oil filter, fuel filter. Boom, boom, boom. It's ready.
Neat. Yeah,
but
because every time you tighten a filter up, where's the number at?
On the back side.
Every time.
Never fails.
I don't know. Here's one. Maybe put it all the way around. Put it in several spots. Like I realize that probably costs money to print that on there at some point, but I don't know. Have it in more than one spot. Because it's always going to tighten up.
And that's what's aggravating. You'll see them piss away money on other stupid shit, but we won't do that on a filter because that's going to cost an extra 3 cents per filter.
Yeah.
That's something that would actually benefit me. I don't care. I'll pay the extra 3 cents.
Yeah, exactly. Or my personal favorite, you can't even hardly see the filter, or you have to take something off to get the filter off, and you just want to ask the engineer, how about you change it?
Yeah.
Because I'd like to see you do it, because I'm going to guess that most of those guys couldn't on some of that shit.
I will assure you, if I was an orthopedic surgeon and an engineer come in with a broken leg, well, we're going to have to remove the other leg, tear off your arm, we're going to have to do all this shit just to put a steel rod in your other leg. If that's the way you guys want to roll, we just got to take all this other shit off first. I mean, what's the difference?
I want a doctor to come in. Oh, you need spark plugs. Okay, well, we'll change one today. You make another appointment with the secretary.
Got to run some tests.
You come back in 3 weeks. We'll change the second one. Yeah. By the end of 4 or 5 months, we'll have all 8 changed. You'll be good to go.
Yep.
Like, we'll have you all set up. Yeah. Probably need to go to therapy over there for a while.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now we're off on the medical front. But, yeah. Needless to say, they could streamline some of that shit and make it a little easier. Now, I have found on some of the case of stuff, if you can look it up online, there is a page on there that will give you the list, the filters, the belts, this, that, and the other. But once again, how about make that the first page of the owner's manual instead of,
that's what the vast majority of, you're going to use that every year if you're changing oil filters.
You should, yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. I just can't believe how you and I, who I don't consider are highly educated, world-renowned scientists, we know it. Yeah. But these guys that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, no clue.
I've got 10,000 stickers all over this tractor that have a stick figure showing, all these accidents that could happen. How about one that just gives me pertinent information of shit I could use? That'd be neat. Yeah.
Or all this, once again, all the software shit. Why can't I just hit a button on the monitor? Yeah. These are your filters.
Yeah. These are your filters. These are your belts.
Most of that shit's linked in. Could probably tell me if it's in stock and what it costs.
Here's your capacities. It holds. And that's my other thing. What moron is saying we sell oil in 5-gallon buckets. About 5 gallon and a quart. About 5.5 gallon. How about 6? Like, why don't we pick what quantities you're selling the oil in? So why are we setting it up to hold anything other than what the quantities are? Like, it should be it should be based on metric shit of tens and that's part of the reason it's probably screwed up. It probably is even in some stupid liters.
It probably is.
But we only buy soda in liters. But just set it up so it holds a normal quantity.
Like, and once again, that goes back to and I don't know if it was on this podcast or the other one, these companies can blow all this smoke up your ass about go paperless, we're saving the environment, we're going to change this and that, but you're doing shit like that.
Yeah.
That's not so you're saving it on your end so you can look good, but on the back end, you don't give a shit if this guy's throwing it away, wasting it, whatever.
Because you end up with a partial jug of oil. What happens to it? You set it on the shelf, think, oh, I know right where that's at. And then somebody else grabs it. Now you're not really sure what the hell's even in it.
And it's all covered in dust. It's like, wow, fuck, that thing was kind of ratty.
I'll just toss this quart and I'll grab a new jug. And super handy.
Yep. So it's all smoke and mirrors bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, why can't you go out there and just buy the kit? S760 combine, it comes in. I don't care if it's 6.3 gallon. It comes in a 6.3 gallon snap-on jug. I snap it on, it dumps it all in. There's no more checking it after I start it. Once this son of a bitch is full, that's what it holds.
It's a good thing that nobody ever put me in charge of some of this stuff. Like the day the 806 or for sure a 1066 comes out, okay, great tractor. We got to put Hytran in it because, well, they're designed to leak. You're going to have to put Hytran in it. You got a 5-gallon bucket. It's a cab 1066. I can pour a shitload of it over the floor, but you can't really get it in there. Like, you're selling it in buckets. I don't know. It'd be neat if you could get a bucket anywhere near that fill. No, you can't. So either don't sell oil in buckets. I guess you'd sell it in, I suppose to actually get it in that fill, I guess you'd have to sell it in pints, teaspoons, eyedroppers, thimbles, something small. Or we could just put the oil fill where you could actually get to the damn thing, Yeah. Well, I got to start this tractor up and turn the wheels because I can't get to where the Hytran fills up on your new Magnum or your new Deere or whatever because we put it kind of behind the front tire. Spectacular.
And that is the trade-off because, them old tractors were bad about that. My 4010's the same way. All that stuff's under the seat. Mm-hmm. You can't get nothing. Like on it, it's not that bad to get something up there to pour oil into it, but you can only get half, like picture a quart of oil, you can only get it tipped halfway, and then the rest of it won't come out.
Yep.
So that stuff was hard in that aspect. Like now it's easy. You just dump a hydraulic in the back of the tractor or whatever, or the front, and it's all easy. But the filters are harder to change. They're always behind a tire. They're over here under that where then filters were easy to get to, come right off. So they take a step forward and step back.
Give you one thing, take the other away from you.
Yeah.
And I realize that, with a bucket pump, you can get it in there. Well, that's super neat. But if you blew a hydraulic hose in the middle of the field and somebody's bringing you the hose and a bucket, they didn't bring a bucket pump with them.
Sure.
And nobody had one of those in the 70s. Like there's easier ways to do some of that stuff. But whatever. That's why they don't put me in charge, I guess.
Yeah. I could go on and on and on about engineers and the people writing the manuals.
Even putting fuel on some stuff. Like, I remember there were certain 80s pickups we had. It's like, well, drive it up on a block of wood. Otherwise, it kicks off if you click it over the first click. Well, that's super handy. I always carry a block of wood with me to get to the gas station.
Yeah, get out, throw it down, then get back in, pull forward.
Pull forward, yeah, that's super handy. We couldn't vent this to where it would just take fuel. No, couldn't figure it out. Yeah. It's kind of like the newer Deere tractors and the batteries. Like, that cover is great. Magnetic, pop, bang, you got it right off there. You can see the batteries. You can't do shit with them.
Nope. Can't check the water in them.
Can't check the water in them. Can't get the connections off. The battery cables are banjo string tight. Like, you can play Old Man River on that thing. It's so tight. There's no room there. Like, I don't know. I would take a bolt-on cover and actually be able to get the damn cables off. But
I think the only worst design, and I will preface this by saying when I was a kid, we didn't have any sound guard John Deere cabs, so I can't speak for that. But Grandpa had a 4230 John Deere with a year-round cab on it.
Yeah.
And getting batteries in that was like disassembling half the tractor because you opened the door and then you had to pull the floor mat up and then they sat straight down in there with all these. It was a friggin' nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, they were the same way. Shit box design on that.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And to me, because the air conditioner never, ever worked in that thing. You was way better off to not even had a cab on it versus sitting in there baking away with the windows.
You were uncomfortable year-round, Tony.
Yeah, exactly.
The only time any of those were really good is on a badass cold day. It's better than sitting outside.
It was. And back then he had cattle, and I remember putting out hay in the winter, and it's like, man, that's neat to sit in there.
Yeah.
No heat, but sit in there better than the wind.
If you ran it long enough, you had some heat, but blowing back on you. But yeah.
And the bad part is because I spent a lot of hours in that tractor too. I'd take it back today. Wouldn't do nothing with it. I mean,
no. But batteries in general, like on a lot of things, have been a real pain in the ass. Like, they're going to go dead. They're not going to last as long as they should. Why do we have to hide them? Like, why do we have to where you got to remove 10,000 things to get the damn battery out?
And especially nowadays on this new Deere stuff, there's so many computers, they go dead more often now. And it's funny because I feel like they last longer than when I was a kid. Somebody who was always putting batteries and stuff, but they do go dead more because of all the drain on them.
Yeah. Well, whoever come up with that 6-volt battery, the long, narrow one, that guy ought to be kicked in the ass. Those got to be the worst batteries in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm like, some of that stuff could be made so much easier on it. Like, I don't understand why we had to hide them, make it hard to change. You're going to have to maintenance it. There's no reason for it. I don't know. I don't understand it.
And the bad part is, I've never been around like Allis-Chalmers and Massey. I see what the premier companies from the 70s
I
and
figure
80s
batteries are the least of your problems on that shit.
Exactly. And maybe they're not. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't fathom that they're easy either, probably.
But you're right. They hide them on all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother always tells me, and he's not wrong, like, battery retention should always be a tarp strap.
Yeah. He's probably right.
Anything more than that is a pain in the ass. Like, I've had some pickup trucks come in the shop this day, and the guy needs a battery or whatever. It's like, cripes, you damn near got to remove the cab to get some of those batteries out. Like, my brother had a work car at one point in time. The correct procedure was to remove the front wheel to get the battery out of it.
Are you serious? Yeah, see, I would have flipped out.
So here he was at the farm show. The battery goes dead, goes bad on it. Well, fortunately, we had the pulling tractor down there, so we had tools, and we got it out of there without taking the front wheel off. But it was a struggle bus. But I'm like, but we had a full set of everything, or whatever. If you'd been along the road, like, if you just pulled into McDonald's and shut it off and went back out there, like, you're getting it towed or AAA.
Now, to me, there is no reason for that whatsoever. No. I don't care. You can give me any excuse you want. There is no reason for that. No. None.
No.
I don't care if you sat at the passenger seat. I would be more happy with that versus taking the wheel off to change the battery.
That was the same vehicle. Never buy a Dodge. I think it was a Dodge Journey, I think's what it was. Anyway, the horn stuck on it occasionally. It bang, the horn would randomly come on. The dealership couldn't get that thing out of there quick enough. Like, they were so mad, like, because it was doing the same thing in there, and it took them a while to figure out what it was, whatever. So every time they were trying to work on it, like, the horns just blared in the shop.
My God.
Everybody is upset about it. I don't know if they eventually took it outside and fixed it out there, but they were super unhandy about it. It was unhandy. Like,
Sure.
It's hard to drive a vehicle if the horn is literally stuck on.
Right.
You know?
Wow.
You turn the wheel, sometimes it go off, sometimes it come on. Yeah, super great. Yeah. That's one problem I've never personally had was a bad horn. But,
No, I don't think I have either.
but that one did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think these machinery dealers are going to do? Because we actually haven't talked about this in a long time. And Dave Whitaker, I think it was Dave, one of the guys from Farm for Profit, had it on their podcast, and they made a TikTok about it, that, machinery has got so high that now you got dealers going to auctions and buying combines or whatever,
Yeah.
and then selling them on their lot. And and some of it is they was needing inventory, which that's let up a little bit, but some of it was this guy, we knew he was looking for a 9770, but he don't really want to buy it from an auction. He'd rather buy it from a dealer. So all they're doing is going into the auction and buying it.
Yeah.
And then selling it, marking it up, whatever, 10, 15%. I don't know what the...
I see both sides of that. Like, so if you're John Doe farmer and you're a dealership guy, and I'm in no way knocking any of these scenarios. I'm just laying them out how I think it plays out. Okay. So you want to buy it from the dealer. Okay. So the dealer buys it at an auction. They sell it to John Doe farmer. If it's a complete epic pile of shit, he's better off to have bought it from the dealer
Right,
than
'cause
bought
they're
it on
kind
the
of
auction.
on the
The,
hook.
the dealer's going to help him at some level. It may be a little bit. It may be a lot. It may not be, dollars in parts, but it may be some just physical help, service, etc.
Yeah, the auction the day you drive off, that's it.
It's your baby.
Yep.
So did he pay, if it turns out to be pristine, no problems, yes, he paid X number % more than he could have bought that same unit. But if it has an issue or two, he's probably better off to have bought it at the dealer. Sure. And the flip side of that is you call, John Doe farmer calls. John Doe farmer bought his at the auction. You bought yours at the dealer. You both call within minutes of each other. Matter of fact, you're on the phone at the same time, talking to different people, obviously, but both with the same issue, needing it fixed. Who do you think gets priority in that situation?
Yeah, I agree.
It ain't going to be the guy at the auction. I can tell you a few different places around here, like if you didn't buy it from them, they ain't working on it. Yeah. I mean, they'll get to it eventually, but you're down the list.
And I see why.
I see why exactly. Like, even if they didn't make anything on the sale, at least you had the courtesy to buy it from them.
Right.
So I see both sides of all that. Like,
I mean, you're not big. I'm not saying you wouldn't do this, but you're not big on me buying a whole shit pile of parts off of eBay and then bringing my tractor to your shop and say, hey, put all these parts on it. And I understand why. I mean, I get it.
Because the flip side of that is, so I see both sides of that too. Like, there's an auto shop around here, like, they literally won't put on anything that they don't get for you, which is fine. I got no problem with that. Because the flip side of that is, let's say they put on this eBay part that you bought, and then that has some issue.
Right. It's some Chinese cheap.
And now you're fussy, and you want them to take care of the install, to reinstall the new part to replace it. Well, they didn't they didn't source said part.
Right. Yeah,
so on and so
I
forth.
get it.
But by the same token, let's say while you're in there working on my car, I want LED headlights put in it. Well, they don't have a source for that. Well, can I get them? You can just put them in because you can change a headlight and you got it on the rack and it's easier to do and blah, blah, blah. Nope, won't do it. Well, I'm willing to take the lab. Yeah, I suppose you have to pick a path.
And the only other part that I don't like getting screwed on the fact that, okay, I got to get my parts from you. I don't expect them to be marked up 75%. I understand people mark up parts. I totally get that. But I don't want to take it clear in the ass on the parts either,
for sure. But in general, buying from someone like myself or somebody else is no more expensive than buying it from the OEM.
Right.
Because we're getting a break somewhere
Exactly.
else.
You're buying enough.
I'm not just saying me. I'm just saying the industry in general.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I see all sides of that, and I deal with that a ton. Like, to the point that I just told Dad the other day, I'm like, I'm going to get a sign that says call the internet, because that's where you got the parts. But now you've had an issue. You bought parts off the internet because you thought it was cheaper. You didn't check.
Right.
You just assumed it was going to be cheaper because it was Amazon or whatever. So they should be buying a quantity of something. It should be cheaper, allegedly. Now you want tech service on it, on something that I didn't sell you. Your deer dealer didn't sell you. Your case dealer didn't sell it to you. Whoever. But now you want tech support on it.
Yeah.
It depends. A guy that does a ton of business anyway, you can let a little bit of that slide. A guy that doesn't do any business with you but wants to tie up 30 minutes of your time, call a lawyer. Try to take 30 minutes of their time.
Yeah.
They're going to bill you for it.
Yep.
So I see all sides of that, But some of that stuff has got so expensive too. Like,
I get trying to pinch a penny to some. There's some stuff you don't pinch pennies on, depending on what it is.
Here's a problem that a modern dealership has, right? Okay. So Tony Reed calls in. He's working on his 4010. Well, the tech he needs to talk to about this random small problem is the same tech that's been to all these 8R schools, S-Series combine schools, et cetera, et cetera. So this guy's a X number of dollar an hour guy. Well, let's just say he's a $40 an hour in his pocket guy, just for a random number. And that's a $20 an hour question. But the $20 an hour guy doesn't know, or they don't even have that guy anymore. So now you're tying up this guy to answer this question that you want on the faux free because I've spent X number of dollars with your dealership on other shit. So right. You kind of got to balance that out. Like, it gets hard to do.
I mean, if you stopped and added up the amount of time that you and your dad have talked on the phone that didn't make a dime off of.
Oh, my goodness. I could retire.
Yeah, exactly.
I could retire.
Yeah. And like you say, I totally get it when it's a guy that's done business there for years, been a good customer, whatever. Totally get it. But when it's a guy that I've been everywhere, couldn't find this part.
Couldn't find it. You think you could help me out on it?
Yeah. Well, glad you sure went everywhere else before you come to me,
Exactly. And then, now can you tell me how to install it and this and there? Well, hell, why don't I just come do it for you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just
throw that in while we're here. So I see all sides of that, and that does that gets a little sketchy. And that's why I think some dealerships have like a heritage rate versus a premier rate, because it's hard to have a guy trained on IVT transmissions putting batteries in a 4010.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But you can only have so many people working there. How many 4010s are you going to put batteries in? So it gets to be a little bit of a snafu there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hard to balance, especially in mechanics. It's different if it's, I don't even know what to use for an example. But I mean, what you're doing is it's a little more technical. It's a little more, I'm not calling Rural King and saying what price you got on this AR-15 and tell me a little bit of, it's a 3-minute conversation.
Yeah.
You can tie up 30, 40 minutes, no problem.
Well, let's say you need your computer worked on. You're not going to touch that.
Yeah.
Because you're scared of it.
Yeah.
Not saying you, I'm just saying.
No, yeah, you're right.
In general, and it could be as easy as popping the case open, which now is pretty easy, but back in the day, you had to take out some screws, slide the cover off, whatever, swap a hard drive in, whatever it was, reprogram something, this, that, and the other. But it's, we're gonna change out part A, B, C on this tractor. Well, I think I can muddle through that, especially if this guy will talk me through it, and not that I don't mind doing that at some level. But next thing you know, the guy's wanting you to know, well, can I have the torque spec? Can I have the, how would you do it? What socket you had to grind a little bit off of that. You had to make a special wrench. Can I see yours? Can I borrow yours? Hell, can I take your computer home with me to reflash the software? Can I do this? Can I do that? It's like, I understand why. I see all sides of it. I literally see all sides of it. I don't have the answer for it necessarily, because stuff is expensive on some of that. And it's like, well, dealership charged me
Yeah.
$3,000 to do that. Hell, I could do it myself for $1,000. Well, yeah, but you could have screwed it up and cost yourself $6,000.
And a good example, and I'm not saying this because it's me or me and you or whatever. I'm truly not. Like when I was rebuilding my 4010, you know, there was some stuff that I had questioned, but I didn't try to hound you every day. And I need this tool and run down. You know, it come to the head on that tractor. I took it down to you and your dad. You got it done. You know, I'm not gonna try to attempt stuff that I know I can't handle.
Yeah.
You know, and there was some stuff you helped me out on back and forth, but it wasn't just like every 5 minutes. Well, it's him calling again.
No.
You know,
I mean, it's a different deal because you and I have been friends for more years than we
but
can probably
some of that,
count.
they're hounding you so much. It's like you should have just brought me the tractor. I mean,
exactly. At some level, like, if you needed that much help on it, like, you're probably not. You probably shouldn't be doing it. But the other thing that cracks me up about some of that stuff is, and I see this pretty regular too, like a guy will attempt a job that he probably shouldn't be doing. But when it comes to general maintenance, which most people should, not most, but a lot of guys should stick to grease guns and maybe changing some oil. They ain't about to tie into that.
Yeah. Right.
We don't want any part of that. We're going to get dirty. We got to get rid of the oil. Grease gets everywhere. I don't even have a grease gun, blah, blah, blah. So we just don't do it. We'll just keep running it because we're not going to pay somebody to do it. But, oh, shit, this other job needs done. Well, I think if you talk me through it, after I buy the parts off the internet somewhere, hell, I think I could pull this off.
Yeah.
You know, okay, you know, give it a whirl.
Yep.
You know,
I've seen
I
countless
see that all the time.
Facebook posts and TikTok videos of guys, you know, they're too tight to go buy this piece of equipment. We're just going to build one.
Yeah.
And it's like, my God, you know, at some point in time, if you're time, I get it. Sometimes you've got time.
Yeah.
You know, I get it. But it's like, I just seen 4 of them on Tractor House for less than you're going to have in that. That are ready to go.
And some of it is the pride in doing it yourself. I get all that too. Like, I literally see all sides on some of that stuff. But yeah, you're right. It's like, well, you know, I'm going to do this. Okay, give it a whirl. But you realize they make that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
most generally, not always, most generally, the guys that I see that build their own machinery, that tool lasts about 3 years, and then they're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And on to the next. You know, it's never a long-term. You never see this guy like, man, I remember 20 years ago when he rebuilt that. Because 3 years after he built it, now it's sitting in the fence row, and he's moved to the next big idea.
I was just talking to a buddy of mine about this the other day on the tractor pulling side of things. A water manifold, which is literally an aluminum block with multiple ports in it, so you can run all your water lines through your different cylinders. And this guy was he stopped at this guy's shop and he was making one. He's like, you realize you can buy this from MasterCard for like $20, right? Really? Well, I want to make it this certain way. It's like they've got all kinds of different options. Like they are mass producing those.
Yeah.
They're not specifically for tractor pulling water injection.
Yours don't have to be that unique that it needs to be built.
But it works just the same way. I'm like, you're going to have $400 in this in machine time, drill bits, taps, all the shit. You know, it's like you literally can buy that for $18, you know. But
I never tackle stuff that I don't think I can handle. Prime example, my dad, and I'm not saying this because he was my dad, was one of the best carpenters for miles.
Yep.
I can barely sharpen a pencil.
I'm with you.
When it comes to carpentry, I hire it done.
I can't.
I don't know how to do it.
I wish I could.
Yep. Same here.
My brother will tie into some of that stuff. He's more willing to do it than I am. I always go, I had a great customer. I mean, he's still a customer, but he's retired now. He's still a friend. And he always told me, Nick, some people get paid to do shit because they're good at it. And that's what they do, and you should just hire them.
I agree.
And he was a guy, he ran a grease gun, and he changed oil, and he was meticulous and religious about maintenance. Like all his stuff, I would take anything he had at any time. He was always on top of that. But when it come to anything beyond that, he hired Dad and I to do it.
Yep, and no issue with that.
No, and he didn't. His maintenance cost was probably the lowest of anybody I ever had. You know, he never had major repairs.
Yep, it was never run it till it's completely wore out.
Nope. If something popped up, hey, this is going on.
Yep,
I need it fixed. Bang. He never had major repairs because he always kept shit greased. He always kept the oil changed. He was good to go. And that's kind of how I am on some of that. Like, I wish I could carpenter some. I can't. I'm screwed from the get-go because a 2x4 is not 2x4.
Exactly.
I'm done right there. I'm like, you can't weld it. You can't put it back. Right. There's not a wood welder. I don't have a board stretcher. Like, I'm screwed. I can't do it. Like, there's too many options in the carpenter industry because everything's. And my other thing is, and I feel bad for the American carpenter at this point in time because all this shit, all the Menards, Lowe's bullshit is all turned into I had to put a new roof cap on the other day on a vent on the furnace. If that thing was any thinner, you could have saw through it. Like you're seeing through it. Like it was literally almost translucent, like miserable. I'm like, just shit like that. I'm like, I'll give the extra $4 for one that actually has metal in it, but just stuff like that. Like it just the things are in. It's just ridiculous on how cheap some of that shit is made. And then we'll just. In my opinion, windows ought to be available in small, medium, and large. There's a whole bunch of that shit that could be cleaned up, but we're just going to customize it as we go.
Agree.
We're going to do this. We'll just frame it in. We'll do this, that, and the other. And it turns into being a giant cluster. We got a 36-inch walk-in door, okay, to the utility room from the garage. Sweet. We go 2 foot. That door's 32-inch.
Yeah. What good does the other one do?
Why do we what? You might as well make the other one 14 inches. Like, you can't get anything through the damn thing. Like, just stupid shit like that in the carpenter world just drives me up the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here. And I refuse to start a project and then halfway through it, you got to call somebody. You're like, I cannot handle this.
Yeah.
And now you got to bring them the whole pile of parts.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want that as a mechanic on your end. It's like, you've already screwed this thing.
I get that on a fair amount. It's like, boy, I surely wish you hadn't taken that apart. Yeah. I had that on a diesel pump the other day. Guy brought it in, and not in a bucket, but it wasn't much better. I took this apart. Yeah, and you broke about 6 pieces there. You really wish your wallet is going to really wish you hadn't have broke.
Yeah. Same way when 4010 rebuilt the pump. I pulled it off, took it straight to your dad.
Sometimes you're better off to have somebody that knows what they're doing.
Just because you read it on Google don't mean you're qualified.
There's a welding shop not far from here that their slogan always was, just because you own a welder doesn't make you a welder.
That's right.
And there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that done to me in any way, shape, or form. You just bring me these pile of parts that you've already tore all the hell, and now you're rolling this, it's all or none to some degree. I get it if this guy tore into it and he couldn't get this particular part apart.
Everybody tears stuff down different. Like, Dad and I always laugh. Like Core Motors, where we're buying blocks or something, this, that, and the other. We'll always get this guy, hey, I got this DT466 block. You interested in it? Just, I was going through blah, blah, blah salvage yard, and they had one sitting there. I bought it. Okay. I disassembled it. Well, that's neat. You threw the main caps away, or, you didn't put them back on. Like, it's just random shit here and there. We did this. We went ahead and knocked all the cam bearings out of it, or it's like, just bring it to me the way it was. Like,
exactly.
They really feel like they're doing something on some of that. It's like, you really didn't, but okay. I mean, I guess.
Yeah. I can't imagine what some of these dealerships, that are moving hundreds of tractors through a year, some of the stuff that they see, I just can't fathom. And I would get more aggravated, and I guess I shouldn't, it ain't mine, but just some of the flat neglect.
Yes.
That would just drive me up a wall. I mean,
there is a lot of flat neglect. And apparently I'm one of the few people in this world that does this, but like, when I'm running a piece of equipment, I'll either type it in my phone or put it on a notepad. Hey, need to fix this. And it might be some trinkety little deal that really doesn't affect the performance of it, but I want it all fixed. And sometimes I get to all that, and sometimes I don't. But I've made a mental note of it, or I have it written down that I need to, this latch is broke, or whatever that needs adjusted, something that's, and I try to get all that stuff in the winter some point in time and go through it, fix that up. Obviously, not everybody's doing that.
No, I see guys that literally different people that I've either met on the road or have stopped by their house. And it's like, I can tell from here that wheel bearing is either out or completely loose just by the way the wheel's leaning.
Yeah, exactly.
And you come back the next year, and it pretty much looks the same. Nothing's changed. Nope. Didn't have time to fix it, but
we're nursing it by.
Yep. But I've seen you doing 400 other things that you probably shouldn't have been doing while you could have been fixing that particular wheel. But
not to knock livestock guys, but there's a lot of them that are like the worst, like dairy farmers and loader tractors. Hey, the wheel fell off this tractor. Okay. Yeah. Got some twine around it. Cut the seal. Well, when was that? 1984.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever put any oil in it? Nope. We just been running it. but we got to have it back by 4.
Right.
We got to scrape the lot again. We got to have this tractor. We can't be without it. Well, if you're going to take that shitty care of it, buy 2.
Yeah,
like have another one that you can scrape the lot with. So if you're going to completely neglect them, like
yeah,
you just see some of that stuff that literally has been wrong with that tractor for
sure,
for a decade.
Yeah,
but we just been nursing it by, and now it's completely just physically won't move. My brother always tells me this. It's like a bunch of that shit and the newer stuff ought to be linked to the air conditioner.
Yeah.
As soon as whatever problem happens, bam, it kills the air conditioner. Because then you're going to get a phone call.
Yeah. Can you imagine now if your service intervals, like greasing your tractor, was based on your air conditioner or your auto steer?
Yeah.
It's like, can't plant, till you hit her with the grease gun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you say you haven't changed the oil in your 8R. Yep, the air conditioner's not going to work till you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think dairy farms now, I mean, I'm not saying dairy farming is good because I don't follow the milk price. I know there's been ups and downs. But, crop farming has been, pretty decent for a few years now. But it seems like now a lot of the guys, at least around here, don't have quite as rough as equipment on dairy farms as what they did. Like we were in high school. I mean, there were guys that had loader tractors, especially, and shit hauling tractors. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, that thing hasn't been good since Moby Dick was a minnow.
You bought a new 7130 and you hooked it on a shit spreader, and it has not been off there for 25 years. Never been washed. I mean, nothing.
Just beat to shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't blame. I mean,
but there again, got to have it back by noon.
Yeah. I mean,
got stuff to do. And it's like, you're going to have to pull some maintenance somewhere or have extra stuff. I realize a livestock farm takes a ton of tractors because I, for one, I don't unhook shit. I despise it. And so if I had a livestock farm, I don't know how many tractors I'd have to have. We got a shitload now. I don't know how many I'd have to run a livestock farm. Probably around 100.
Yeah.
But you got to do a little bit of something there once in a while, or have a spare that can fill in here or there, whatnot.
I was always very forgiving on the dairy guys, especially. The beef cattle, still forgiving, but it's like, there you could feed your cows at 8 o'clock this morning, or you could stretch it out till 10 if you had to change oil. I get it. But dairy, it's like 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we're milking. I mean, right or wrong, don't matter, rain or shine, we're milking at 4 and 4. This shit's got to run.
I get that, but you got to have a spare in there somewhere. Like, you can't have just one tractor that's got a grind feed, scrape the lot, do all the run the TMR, run this. Like, we're switching that thing 40 times a day, every day. Like, you're going to have something.
I mean, I got a cousin, and I hope he's listening because he's a great guy, dairy farm for years. And I'm not knocking what he did, he actually took care of tractors, but he had a Heston tractor that ran till he broke it in half.
Literally.
Literally picked it up in 2 pieces.
With a full bucket of lime, running crossways across the field over chisel plowed ground. Yes.
But that tractor had how many hours? I mean,
it had a bajillion hours on it.
I mean,
the bucket had been extended, and it didn't have the braces on it because that didn't make it turn quite as short.
That was, a 666?
And the hired man ran crossways across some chisel plow ground and literally broke it in half.
And he was one of the few dairy farmers that he actually did maintain the equipment. I mean, it may not have looked the prettiest, but he maintained it. I mean, he really did.
Yeah.
But I mean, that tractor, I wouldn't even want to guess how many hours that tractor had on it, but it was a fucking shitload.
It was a bunch, yeah. It never ceases to amaze me. I mean, I could tell you some stories on guys. It's just like, I had a guy one time take a almost brand new tractor out to his pond was froze over. Drove it out there and slammed the bucket down to break the ice. But he drove all the way out in the pond to do it. Had it submerged in water up to the, it was running through the cab. This thing's got like 10 hours on it. Like, well, the cow's got a drink. I'm like, I get that, but could you break the edge?
Exactly.
They're not going all the way out there. Right. They're not Nancy Kerrigan. They're not doing figure eights skiing out there.
Right.
Like, they just want to go to the edge. Yeah. He told me one time that you won't believe what that tractor will pull if you hook something to the bucket, raise it way up, pick the whole back of the tractor off the ground, and just pull it off the front wheels. It's like, man, you can really push them in. That thing will haul the mail then. I'm like, because he had a well guy that got stuck, and he was dragging him out just on the front wheels of the tractor, the whole back of the tractor off the ground. I'm like, yeah, it really wasn't made for that. Like,
see, so we got that 6430. It was bought new in 2009, and I get it. Every farm has one tractor that's kind of the redheaded stepchild that gets beat to shit. That's been ours 25 400 hours, maybe not even that many, but looks like it's been through a war zone. I get it. But that's that's not a main tractor we're farming with. But, and I see it on TikTok and even at the Deere dealership and all this. I know these are tractors that are your main tractors to farm with. It's like, how did you rip the headliner and punch the radio out of this thing? What scenario caused all this shit to go wrong? I don't get it.
That always amazes me. It's like, at what point in the day did you say, you know what, that speaker's in my way? How about I tear the cover off of it, rip the speaker out of it, and just throw the radio on the floor?
Yeah.
Like, radios just don't fall out.
I've never had that scenario.
No, never had that problem. But I'm like, the speaker cover's broke. Like, at what point did you jump up in this tractor and knock the speaker cover out of it, poke a hole in the speaker, and then tear the radio out? Like,
I do not understand. I get it. If it's the door side, your pliers caught the plastic, it cracked it. Totally understand. But I've seen some of this, and I'm like, what did you physically do to do this?
Yeah. And that's another thing. You just reminded me of that. I would like one engineer to get in a tractor with a pair of pliers on, or in the plier holder on a pair of, work jeans, and move that shit out of the way.
I agree.
I get damn tired of having to set my pliers in the cup holder. And there again, I'm probably the only guy doing this because I don't want to scratch up the surface there or cut the seat. And then next thing you know, you hop out. God damn, where's my pliers? They're in the cab.
Yep.
Now I got to run back there. I hopped in a truck to move it, to move something to a different farm. Shit, I ain't got my pliers. They're in the cab of that tractor,
I've never experienced this, but the Alexion guys say they got a damn it wrench. I guess to get any shield off of Alexion combine, you got to have a special wrench to unlock it to get it off, and they call it the damn it wrench because it stays in the cab, and you get out to take the shield off. Where's the wrench? Damn it, it's in the cab. So they call it the damn it wrench.
I don't know. I haven't had to do that. I'll have to look into that.
Luckily, on the Deere combines, on the first S series and the 70 series, you always had to have like a pocket knife to get a couple of the shields, not all, but a couple of them off. Where now they've at least went to like a wing nut style. You can at least get it off with your fingers. But yeah, it's like shit like that. It's like, at that point in time, if you took the time to take the shield off, whatever it took to get it off, that's on you.
Yeah.
Why do we need lawyers at this point locking this shield on?
Well, that's what cracks me up about, a 1460 to a 2588 is essentially very similar. Well, we added a shitload of shields in there.
Yeah.
Of varying degrees of difficulty to get on and off, back on, whatever. Of course, it also took how many series to make all four panels flip out, which boggles my feeble little mind that you didn't walk up to that the first day and be like, well, we're going to make all that shit hinge. Nope. That struggle bust. And I can assure you there's not an engineer at Case IH that's over 5'10". Because even the new shit, I hit my head on this every day in the fall, and my brother laughs at me every time because he's shorter than I am. I whack my head because they do fold out like they should, but I hit my head on that son of a bitch every time. And I'm like, could we not give this a couple more inches? Like the average height of the American, like, can we clear a guy that's 6'4", 6'5", and then most people are okay? I must be right at the limit. But I hit my head on that shit all the time. It drives me up the wall.
And what pisses me off even worse, though, like when you're talking about shield height, is the hoods. Like on a four-wheel drive John Deere tractor, it takes like 6 people to get one open. Especially if it's got some age and the cylinders are getting weak.
Yes.
What is the deal with that? I mean,
the guy that came up with those little gas air hydraulic cylinders, those things suck. They've always sucked. They're always going to go bad. What a pain in the ass.
In the pulling world, you've been able to flip a switch and open a hood for how many years?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you get $400,000 for this tractor. I want to hit a switch, and the hood just goes straight up.
Clear out of the way.
Clear out of the way. It costs like $500 to do that. Get the hell out of your way. Oh, no. No, we're going to tilt it with these cylinders that are going to go bad, and you still can't get to anything.
Yeah.
How about it just goes up out of your way or rolls off? Like 2 + 2 had it figured out.
Yeah.
2 + 2, clear out of your way.
Yeah.
Wasn't that hard.
And nowadays, that stuff's even easier because you don't have an exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
Up there in the middle like you did
your way.
20 years ago.
Yeah. But it's funny how companies view that. Like 66 stuff gets ragged on because you can't get to the air filter without taking the hood off. They did that on purpose because people were over-servicing the air cleaners. They were blowing them out all the time, blowing holes in them on 56s and 06s where you could just take that little panel off and get it out. So they said, we'll just put it behind the hood, full well knowing that farmers Well, one, the hoods don't fit for shit, and two, farmers are not going to ever take the hood off. So then you get the flip side of it, where it's got an air filter in it from '74, and it's 1994, and nobody's ever changed it.
Yep.
Because they don't want to take the hood off, But
yeah, that's what just drives me nuts, though, that when you spend this much money on new machinery with all these stupid bells and whistles, the seat in a John Deere tractor can adjust 500 different ways.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Make something easy. The hood that opens with the press of a button.
Yeah.
What's another $500 on a $400,000 tractor?
You brought up seats, which just irritates the bejesus out of me. Put the switch on the inside or the outside of the armrest where I can raise it up and down. I don't want to reach between my legs. I don't want to fish down the side where I can't see. Give it to me where I can get to it.
I agree.
You already made it super complicated. It's expensive. Put the switch where I can actually see the damn thing. Hell, put it in the monitor. If I adjust the air conditioner, it tells me on the monitor, let me air the seat up from there. Anything other than having it wedged down the side where I've already got my water cooler or, a roll of paper towels, a hammer, whatever.
Yep.
Put the switch where you can actually get to the damn thing. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, and it always killed me how, like on a combine, on a 70 series, the seat raise up and down was on the outside of the left armrest, which was fine.
Yeah.
Until your wife and kids get in there. Then your kids are constantly pushing the button going through the field.
Yeah.
Put it over on my side where nobody else can touch it.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 5,000 buttons over here, and then we got 5,000 other caps with no buttons in them.
Yeah.
Just put one in there.
Yeah.
That says seat. Not a universal symbol. Just says seat.
Just says seat. Up, down. Yeah. Not that hard. Yeah. Some of those features on a seat, I haven't really figured out. I hopped in the grain cart tractor to move it. It was this fall or last fall. And I'm assuming it was my nephew who had found a way to lock the seat down. And I don't know if he did it on purpose, but like it had half the travel it's supposed to have. Like I'm airing this thing up. It won't go up. I'm like, God dang it. The seat's broken this thing. What the hell happened? Then I finally flip one of the 4,000 levers between my legs. Poof, up it goes. I'm like, and half that stuff you rub with your leg when you go to turn. Next thing you know, it's not oscillating anymore. It's not doing this. It's not doing that.
Yeah.
Which some of that I wouldn't give the option. Seat should oscillate. Don't even give me the option to lock it out. You go to lock that out. Nope. It just a big warning light comes up, says you are too dumb to run this tractor. Please exit the vehicle.
Yeah.
It should go back and forth.
All I need is the backrest, fore and aft, up and down, maybe a touch of lumbar, maybe. That's it. I don't need this spring ride that I can adjust it so now it's a little more firm on the up and down or here, just make it simple.
Just like one that didn't leak off.
Yeah.
That'd be neat. Quit using push-delete connections in those and just screw it together with something you could get to. You ever tried to work on a seat?
Oh, they're terrible. Had one that was leaking a few years ago. It's awful.
I just dealt with that in the last couple of days. I'm like, what a pain in the ass. You can't get to it with your hands, so you got to reach in there with needle nose pliers. That's great. Now you just pinch the line, so now the line's junk.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
I mean, and they literally weigh 700 pounds.
Oh, my gosh.
It is unbelievable what a seat in a tractor weighs.
And they're $4,000 because at some point in time you're like, well, I'll just shit can it and buy a new one. Nope, can't do it because it half the value of the tractor in the seat.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you think if it's that expensive, we just make the thing to last. Like I had one a few years ago that got to squeaking. It sat over the winter, had a squeak in it. Try to get that out of an air ride seat.
Oh, imagine.
Oh, my gosh. I sprayed and sprayed and sprayed. I finally got it out of there, but holy shit. Yeah. And we're going to use all these stupid little push rivet deals that always break. You don't have them. Try to get them from anybody. Like, it's never the right size.
And the funny part is looking back, and maybe it's because we were younger. Take a 1066, whatever. Take your pick. I'm not saying them seats were the most comfortable in the world, but I remember getting off one of them tractors and being like, God damn, my back hurts. Or what? I mean, it got the job done. I mean, it wasn't like it was awful.
No, I'm with you. It does baffle me a little bit on that. Like, my pickup truck's got how many thousand miles on it? Seat hadn't broken yet.
Yeah.
you know? But this other one, it's not really going to function. Sure, the tractor's $400,000, but the seat's going to go to shit in like 500 hours.
Yeah. Once again, instead of a $4,000 seat, give me a $3,000 seat, and then a hood that lifts out of the way when I push the button. I'm willing to make the trade.
That I can actually get to something on. Yeah. Yeah.
Or the original 8,000 series Deere where the hood didn't even come off unless you wanted to, make it like an old 66 series International where it was a complete pain in the ass to get it off.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the ones that tilting that. We'll try to get those actually off. That is a pain in the ass. You got to have a forklift that'll go 30 foot in the air and some straps, and hope like hell you don't crack it, break it. Put a way in it, build something into it where I can hook into it and get the damn thing off with a forklift if that's the procedure we're going down. Yeah, baffles me a little bit.
Yeah,
could be simpler.
Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, they couldn't make this shit any more complicated if they
those
tried.
Gas shocks are a huge pain in my ass.
Oh, they're awful.
Try to change those out on like a 275 Magnum.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'm physically too big to do it. I had to put my brother in there on top of the engine, and basically put a hook in his ass and hold him up off of it so he didn't break everything, laying on top of it. And then we put them on like 3 days later. They're kind of half-assed bad again already. It's like, well, that's great.
Like our 9460R, them hoods on them things are gargantuan. Mm-hmm. There is no way one of these 70-year-old guys with all this paid-for land that's farming by himself is opening that hood by himself. It is not happening. I'm not Hulk Hogan by any means, but it's a struggle to get them open sometimes. There's no way.
I love my 9000 series Staggers, and those are the most functional hood there ever was, and there's no gas shocks in that. It's just springs. You got to be a little bit of a big old boy to get that thing tilted. Like, you're going to get a run at that. I mean, I can do it, but I'm also fat, so
yeah.
The thinner guy who's gonna hang back on that thing like he's trying to do chin-ups for the Marine Corps and probably not get it open.
Yeah.
But at least you can get to something once it is open. But it's a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, they've took this shit too far. They really, truly have. I feel like unless you're rolling this shit every year, it just becomes a bigger pain in the ass the longer it goes on.
I mean, that's how it's set up for. Like,
it is.
Roll it all the time and let the dealer worry about it. They'll take care of it, and they got somebody to do it or a team of people to do it. And yeah, they don't want you opening the hood.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And where's it going to be in another 10 years? Of course, the cabs won't be on. It'll all be automated.
Hey, just look like air filter housings. 2188 never plugs an air filter. Metal housing never goes bad. Those latches last forever. We're going to upgrade that to this plastic one that really doesn't seal. You're going to pull a filter out of it every day or two. It kind of sucks. It's never really going to go back how it should. You got to have it orientated just right, this, that, and the other. Just give me the metal housing that doesn't break. It's not that hard. Like I said, you're not cost reducing this combine in my favor. You might be cheapening it up so you can make more margin on it.
Yeah.
But making it more functional was never in their wheelhouse.
I almost think at the end of the day, it's not cheapening it up. It's staying under inflation. You know what I mean? It's like this combine went up 5%, so now we got to knock 5% of the shit off of it and make it even cheaper.
Yeah.
Because it damn sure ain't got nothing to do with quality.
No.
I mean, could you imagine if you could take a Class 9 combine by today's standards, what it will do in the field, but build it from the same materials that they were building combines from in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd last forever, wouldn't it? I mean,
probably too heavy to cross a bridge, but it would
could be. But
it'd be badass. Yeah. Well, and back in the day, I'm going to say U.S. companies in general tried to simplify things and make them very efficient.
Yeah.
And now we have adopted a more European mentality of where we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And we've complicated the shit out of stuff that didn't really need to be complicated.
Right. If you look at, pick either brand, a John Deere, I'm going to say before the rotors come out, a 9610, whatever, and like a 2388 case, that was about where the clusterfuck started.
Yeah.
And from there, and maybe back then you looked at it and thought, man, this thing's a nightmare. But things had advanced enough that you'd got rid of some belts and some chains.
Yeah.
They weren't hard to work on. Wasn't a lot of computers on them.
Yeah.
It was kind of right in the middle. But, man, after that, it just went electronic.
But I think some of that shit, they want it to have to go back to the dealer.
Yeah.
But that's great, other than a lot of the dealer guys that are they're not there very long, like, because they can go make more money doing something else.
Right.
So once they get efficient at some of that, well, they've moved on. They work for, they're a lineman now, you know, or whatever, pick your job, you know, but they're doing something else that not even related to working on combines that paid more at some factory, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, so then you end up in a giant cluster. The guys that were trained on those when they were new have retired, moved on, something or another. Well, now you got this other guy who's a perfectly good guy in his own right. They don't really know shit about it.
Yeah.
So,
and I think a lot of that's where the manufacturers were able to get lazy. When we were kids, there was an IH and a John Deere dealership every 10 miles where we live. I'm not saying West Texas, where now there's been so much consolidation.
Yeah.
They can look at the numbers and be like, well, really, this is a clusterfuck to work on. What's the guy going to do? Because his closest IH dealer's 45 miles away.
Yeah.
We know he's going to keep buying green.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. Yeah. So they were able to get by with a lot of that shit because they knew you weren't going to switch anyway.
Yeah. Couldn't if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
I don't know. This consolidation has fucked this country in every industry. I don't care if it's livestock, farm machinery, trucking, on and on and on.
Just like we said in the last one, the Anheuser-Busch deal, like, if InBev didn't own them, we're not having this conversation. Like, if it's still Anheuser-Busch, it's not a problem.
Yeah, Augie Busch wouldn't have signed off on that.
No. But here we are where, I mean, as much as I'm not a Deere guy, I understand why some guys are, because like, they're like the last American company.
Yeah.
Damn near, you know?
Right.
We got Ford, because you can't count Chevy. The government owns them more or less. We've got Ford and Deere. What else do we have?
Yeah, I mean, not very much.
In the mechanical world, like, not much. You know, GE might still be GE. I don't know if they are, and that's not really mechanical stuff, but
right.
You know what I'm saying, like nuts and bolts of stuff. Like we're about out of American-owned companies, sadly enough.
Hell, I showed you. Well, it's probably been a year ago now. I've got them old Prairie Farmer magazines from the 70s and 80s, and one page there in the back said, you know, contact your local international dealer. And just in the state of Illinois was probably 50 or more. I mean, it was a fucking shitload.
We had one in Sturtson at one time.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I mean, they were literally
a town of 600 people now, or 750 now or whatever. So back then it was probably 400.
Yeah.
You know?
They were every 20 miles back then, roughly.
Yeah, which, you weren't willing to drive that far in a Model T or whatever you're in, but, yeah, the consolidation thing, there's some benefits. You know, they can have a guy that's really good at precision stuff, and he works for 3 or 4 dealers of that network, and he's really good. He's also really busy. You can't get a hold of him, blah, 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 whatever. And he's also not going to be there next year.
Right.
If he's really good, Ag Leader's going to hire him, Raven's going to hire him, somebody else, the local co-op that does that stuff on the side, they're going to hire him. Somebody's going to pay him more than he's getting at Deere, Case, AGCO, wherever. He's not going to be there in 2 years.
Yep.
I mean, I assume that's not just me, but that's been my experience. Like, that guy's not going to be there long term.
Yeah.
Like, so.
And I know COVID has skewed it, and, you know, there's so many people switching jobs now. But in the last 3 years at our local John Deere dealer, I have seen more people come through that shop, come and go, than what I've seen in the last 15 combined.
Well, it's been pretty easy to switch. And
it has.
You know, well, I can make more at a truck shop, or I can make more doing this. And I get it. Hats off to them. Like, I'm not knocking the individual for that. You got to do what's best for you and your family. But as a consumer on the backside of it, it's pretty frustrating. Like,
it is. I've seen a lot of good mechanics out here at our local Deere store that, you know, run into them like, I'm going to be leaving here in 4 or 5 days or whatever. It's like, God damn it. You know, just finally got one guy that I could trust. Yeah. You know.
Next thing you know, they're going to an asphalt company. Yeah. To just change oil and all the trucks, their trucks and equipment.
Yep.
Because it's menial work, but it pays way better, and it's not, there's no season to it. There is kind of a season to that, but not near like farming. It's not, they're still going to quit at X number of time in the day.
Yep.
They don't have to do stuff after hours, et cetera.
His phone is ringing at 9 o'clock at night, and my combine's broke down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough to make that work.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to be in a few years. I mean,
well, I'm running out of people willing to do anything with their hands.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just face it, that's where we're at.
And that's where it's going to force us to electric. I firmly believe that in a fully autonomous tractor because I have nobody that can work. So take a guy like me that doesn't have family, a dad, whatever, passing this down. If I wanted to get into farming today, I gotta buy it.
Yeah,
plain and simple. Do you think it's a very good idea for me to go, and let's just say to farm what we farm now, at the bare minimum, buying it all, a couple tractors, a combine, a planter, a couple field cultivators, $600,000. I mean, $600,000 don't get you shit nowadays as far as buying grain trucks, whatever to farm. It's not like we're huge farmers, but it takes some machinery to farm 1,300 acres.
Yeah.
So do you jump in and say, okay, I'm going to bare bones it as best I can and spend $600,000. That's my budget. I might go a little bit over, but I'm damn sure probably not going to be under that.
Yeah.
And then in 10 years, most of that machinery is obsolete because now it's all went autonomous.
Yeah.
You got to factor that in because people say, well, it's not going to be there. My local John Deere dealer told me they're going to have 5 autonomous tractors this year.
Really?
So that means they'll probably have 10 next year and 30 the next, right?
Yeah, probably so.
So why would I go buy $1 million worth of machinery that in 15 years or less, or about the time I get it paid for, I can't give it away because it's all autonomous now?
Yeah.
Why would you want that? I mean,
no, you're not wrong. I mean, no, you're not wrong. Sadly enough, I'm more of the other mentality. It's like, well, I don't need another truck, but I kind of think I ought to buy one before I can still get one that burns gas or diesel.
Right.
So think about just buying one and just storing it away because I don't want an electric one. But
and I'll preface this by saying that the Deere dealer out here, the way I understood it, it's not it's an 82, 85R, but nobody's sitting in it. It's not a fully electric.
But yeah, I mean, I know where you're at. I got a customer that's wanting to go to the autonomous grain cart tractor.
Sure.
Like, willing to spend some money on the technology because he didn't have a guy to run that. He's like, well, I can spend money on that. And when I'm done, I don't have to pay him the rest of the year. Because I can't get a guy that's good enough.
Yep. And to me, that's the first step. It's like, because you can't just kill this now or it kind of screws you as a company. Use the tractor that you got. We'll make it autonomous. Mm-hmm. But the next generation is going to be there's no cab or nothing on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's already here. And these guys that, that's never going to catch on. I'm telling you, it's going to catch on. It's going to catch on fast. And this is where, when we were kids, a 3,000 acre farmer was huge.
Yeah.
Now, 6,000 is huge.
Yeah.
That's where the 6,000s are going to go to 12,000.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. I mean,
Roundup and big equipment has made it way easier to be
it has.
Big. Yeah.
So I think your only option now is going to be you back down and farm a couple 300 acres if you like farming, and you're going to have to do something else, or you're going to have to go full scale the other way. Because
you may be right.
I mean, for a guy like me, I don't have a dad that's going to leave it to me.
Yeah.
So I'm at a crossroads. It's either quit farming here in the next year or two, or
he tried to leave you a hammer, but you couldn't carpenter.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So, I mean, I've got some big decisions to make.
Yeah, no doubt. I figure every generation has had similar issues, but I don't think they're as manifested as grandiose scale as we're at now.
I agree.
It's a way bigger deal.
Before, let's just take it clear back to the 1920s. Pick your year. It's like, okay, I'm farming with horses now. Man, I'd sure like to have a tractor. Don't know if I can swing it. That's just for the BTOs of the day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if I took that jump, I'm still in the game. I can probably overcome this and move forward. What do you think happened to horse sales in 1920? I mean, I'm being serious.
I got to think at some point in time they crashed. I mean,
they were obsolete, right?
Yeah.
So if the government gets their way, an electric driverless tractor is going to be the next generation.
Yeah.
I'm firmly convinced of that. So is this tractor that I just bought 3 years ago and gave $300,000 for it, is it going to be worth $150,000 now? Because what the fuck are you going to do with it? Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
The BTO down the road farming 20,000 acres, he can't get nobody driving anyway, so he'll drive the electric.
We kind of see that now. Like, big time guys, if they're going to buy a 600 horse 4-wheel drive, they're not buying a used one. They're buying a new one. So what are you going to do when they return their 20? Where do those 20 go? Okay. Well, I don't really need one. I can get by with 400 horse, but the 600 horse really isn't that much more, so I'll go ahead and take it. But you start running out of that trickle down on places to go with that. Like, you've seen that a ton in planters. Like, deer was all pounding their chest, 48 row, Bower built, big time planters, right? Then they're like, holy shit, we can't sell these 48 rows to anybody on the second or third tier down. If I drop a 48 row off at your house, what the hell are you going to do with it?
Yeah. I mean, how do you think they could pull it?
You can't pull it. It won't fit in half your field. It's like, okay, shit. So that's where they kind of regrouped and said, we're going to go 24 fast.
Yep.
Because that's better than 48 slow.
Yep. Most guys, I could get by with a 24. It'd be a little unhandy and stuff, but I could manage it.
I bought a 24. I couldn't get it in my fields.
Sure.
We never took it to the field. Like, my brother damn near rolled it driving it out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Went to the farm, like, can't get it around there. It's like, test run it a couple of fields. Like, yeah, we got to get rid of this thing. Like, it physically won't fit. Like, we can't get it in and out. We have to put in all new driveways, so on and so forth. Like, we don't really, I just bought it because it was priced right, but I couldn't use it, So,
I mean, the way I look at it, let's just say right here where we particularly live, you're a BTO and you farm 8,000 acres. Mm-hmm. Out of the 8,000, you own 300.
Yep.
Okay. I've got a $3 million grain setup. I got a $2 million shop. I got semis. I got all this stuff, but I can't find nobody to drive my tractors.
Yeah.
I got to keep farming 8,000 acres because I'm trying to pay for all this.
I got all this infrastructure. Yeah.
So, you know what? Damn it. I'll take the autonomous because I can drive 6 of them now and get the same thing done, or this little 4-row planter because that's all I need now because it's going to run 24 hours a day. I don't need a 24-row now.
Yeah.
I have a little 4-row high speed and it just goes all night long while I'm sleeping.
Yeah. Off it. Yeah. It's off and
running.
So,
to me, I think that's where it's going.
I can't quit and get out because I built a new house at my
exactly.
And I don't want to move.
Yep.
So I can't just sell all this shit and go on. Yeah.
And so it's going to be here faster than people want to admit. I don't give a shit what they say on TikTok. It'll never happen. I will assure you, tractors that can drive themselves through the field and whatever is going to happen.
Anytime they tell you it's never going to happen, you can about guarantee it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yep. And everybody, what if the field cultivator wads up? There's ways around that. There's cameras. There's whatever.
If it wads up, they'll fix it the next day.
Exactly.
Just as you'll send another autonomous field out there to fix it.
I've got 8 of them. So this one balled up, so it just stops. Well, these others, they go ahead and get the field done, and then I just go out there and tell this one, okay, just drag it out and finish the pass, and I'll move you all to the next field.
Yeah.
It's coming. I mean,
it's faster than we want it to, or faster than I want it to, anyway.
When a robot can hang drywall and put milkers on a cow, it can drive a field cultivator. Yeah, trust me.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, that's where the world's at these days.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really can't tell you if I'll be farming in 2 years or 5 years.
And it's a little bit mind-boggling to think that that's where we're at, and then you look around the world and think that some of these guys would be tickled to death with an 8-in Ford.
Yeah. Yeah, we've all seen the TikToks of these guys in India on a little Massey tractor with literally 3,000 bales of hay behind it, riding a wheelie.
Yeah. Stomp the brake to turn.
A 40-20 would be like light years ahead of what they're doing.
Yes. I mean, especially with a side console.
Yeah. Power shift.
Yeah, then they'd have it all. They don't even know what they're missing. Yeah. They're just glad to have something with an engine.
Yeah.
Like, they were using oxen before that, or whatever, And I'm not being mean about it, but it's the truth of the matter. Like,
And look at it now, look at the political mess we're in. OPEC cut a shitload of production. If diesel fuel gets to $10, $12 a gallon, you'll take the electric one then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. People can fight it all they want, but at the end of the day, economics will win. I'm not saying electric is the way to go. I'm not saying it's going to be the holy grail. I don't know what electricity will cost then, but I'm just telling you, when diesel fuel is $10 a gallon and you can't find a guy to put in the seat, you'll take the autonomous one if you're farming.
The electric's going to be dirt cheap between wind and solar.
It should, by all means.
Practically free. I mean, other than the millions and billions of dollars we're going to spend on subsidies to try to make that work.
Even though your taxes have went up ninefold.
Yeah, but you don't factor that in. Back to the battery thing. Why don't they make batteries for tractors like Milwaukee's?
I agree.
Click, done. Pop, done.
Yep.
Seems like you could.
Even if you had to use a forklift, if it was big, if it was the size of this desk. I mean, seriously.
It shouldn't have to be that big, though. Like, just pop it in and out. It just quick connects. Just works. Seems like that would be easier. Lithium ion.
I've said it before. If Milwaukee would make a car tomorrow, there'd be a shitload of people that buy one that are anti-electric vehicles.
Yeah.
I might buy one.
I might buy one too.
Just to see what it would do.
Like, I'm to the point now, I'm almost embarrassed about how much of that shit I have. Like, I feel like
I know.
it's not like Milwaukee's pad in my pocket, but
Right.
I'm pretty diehard Milwaukee.
As long as you charge them with like a diesel generator, you're good.
How quick did they take that market over? Like,
Oh, it was, yeah.
I mean, and there's really not much they don't make. Like, I just saw a video yesterday. They got this deal now. You slide a bolt through it, and they'll clip it off. You screw a nut right on it, allegedly from the video. I don't know that I need that, but I can tell you I'm going to own one.
Exactly.
I'm going to shorten some bolts just for the sheer fun of doing it. If that thing works as good as they say it does.
And you're going to go in front of your shop with your heated coat from Milwaukee, and you're going to cut this bolt and run it in with your Milwaukee Impact. I mean, you're going to do it all.
The heated coat is one thing I don't have. I bought one for my brother. I don't wear coats in general because I'm fat. I don't need the insulation. I've got it built in. But I about got everything else, and it's like, man, damn, I kind of want that bolt cutter. I don't know that I need it, but I really want one.
I would be lost without a cordless Impact. I would be lost.
That's made my job so much better.
Yep.
Like, dragging an air hose around
Oh, my
is a
God.
novelty now.
And
Like,
listen to them loud.
I only do that if I'm pumping up a tire.
Yeah.
And half the time I do that with the Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could drag a hose out there, or I could just hook this on, go back in the shop. It'll be pumped up when I'm done because I can preset it. It'll just be pumped up and it'll be good.
Yep.
It's going to take it a while, but I don't have to drag a hose out.
Yeah. And truthfully, all these people that are pissed at Bud Light, a lot of farmers probably got Milwaukee too. They should have switched to old Milwaukee just because it's similar.
Similar,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
No doubt.
Get some red rockets.
Yeah.
Have my red leaf blower out here, blowing the driveway off.
Yep.
It is. It's good shit.
It is good shit.
is.
Yeah, it is good
And
stuff.
it goes for all of them. Snap. No, I don't do any DeWalt tools, but like Snap-on. I mean, they've got good cordless.
Where Milwaukee's killing everybody else is the fact that they make everything takes the same battery and they make literally everything you might want.
Right. And it's consumer. Like you can go to Home Depot or I don't know which store exactly, but
You know, Snap-on's good stuff, but okay, you've got an Impact, a Sawzall, a drill, and you're about done.
Right.
Well, you can't use that battery in your leaf blower, your weed eater, this,
Right.
that, and the other. Like, the smartest thing Snap-on could do would be switch all their tools to take Milwaukee batteries.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd buy their Impacts if they took Milwaukee batteries.
Yep. Their
Their Impact might be better. I don't know. And I'll never know now. I had a shitload of them back in the day. I'll never know again unless the status quo changes.
Yeah.
Because all my shit takes Milwaukee stuff now. Like,
Yep. Well, and say you're a guy that was, kind of a gearhead growing up, but now you've got a factory job somewhere, but you still tinker around with cars. You can go to your local hardware store, whatever, and buy Milwaukee, unless the Snap-on truck is coming through urban
Yeah.
town somewhere.
Yeah.
You're not buying it. I mean,
I mean, cripes, I have a Milwaukee fan sits in front of my fireplace. I don't turn the fan on that's built into the fireplace because it's too loud. I turn the Milwaukee one on and recharge the battery and plug it, clip a new one on it to blow the heat out. Because frankly, it works better and it doesn't make any noise.
right.
And
And the funny part is, and you can see how psychology works. So take a Tesla car, for example, now. It's like, if I was to buy one, that would probably be the one
yeah,
versus anybody else, but it's still like, well,
yeah.
don't really want one. But if Milwaukee made a car tomorrow, you would be more tempted to
I'd
buy
be tempted.
it than any other electric
Does
vehicle.
it come with a free hat or shirt?
Exactly. I know. That,
Then I'm in. Then I'm in.
exactly.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong there. Like,
I'd be lost without the Milwaukee stuff. I would.
I mean, here's how skewed my life is in both directions, right? So if I go horseback riding, which is literally back to the Stone Age, and I've got a wet saddle blanket, what do I do with said wet saddle blanket? I take my Milwaukee cordless fan, click her on, come back out the next day and be like, holy shit, that fan's still running. Like it ran all night and it's dried that blanket right out and it's good to go. And then that is both ends of the spectrum. Like that is the full width of technology. Like,
Yep. Like, I don't go through the so-called Milwaukee catalog, whatever, online. I mean, I just don't, for whatever reason. I like their stuff.
I do.
But we got a Snap-on cordless ratchet.
yeah.
and love it. Use it all the time at work. Here a while back, I was rolling through Rural King. Just happened to go down the Milwaukee aisle, and it caught out of the corner of my eye. They had a special that day. The Milwaukee cordless impact. I'm like, oh, I will have one. So I did. And since I don't have my shop belt, all my other tools are scattered in these other outbuildings. It could be a little dirty. I'm like, no, we're going to keep this in the house. So it's still sitting here in the house until the new shop gets built.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. When you get to the small stuff, I do like the Snap-on stuff in the small battery, their version M12 or whatever it is, other than you got to be Hulk Hogan to get the batteries out of it. Mm-hmm. But I do like their small stuff in some aspects, but I basically just have doubles of all that shit.
Sure.
I've got a Milwaukee version, a Snap-on version. When it comes to the bigger stuff, I don't even consider the Snap-on stuff anymore.
Yeah. I'll tell you that right now, God's honest truth, if Milwaukee come out tomorrow and said, we got a robot lawnmower, guaranteed it'll run for 4 hours, 3 hours, take your pick.
They've got an electric one.
That's what I mean. And this thing will mow your yard. I'd be tempted to buy one.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I don't even mow the yard here. My wife does it because that's what she likes to do. But it's like, that would be neat to just get the old Milwaukee, let her mow the yard.
No, I hear you. I've got a ton of that shit. A few items that I don't even need. I bought the big brush that spins.
Yep.
It's okay in a grain bin. If you'd let the only time I got to try it, I actually had help that day. So I didn't let the sweep go around twice. If I let it go around twice, it would have been fine. It's a little too deep the first go around, and I'd scooped it away from the wall like you always have to do. I should have let it go around twice, and then it probably would have worked. The other day, I'm like, we're scooped up hickory nuts. I'm like, I'll get this Milwaukee out, and I will just go through the yard, and I'll just blow these into a pile. No, not so much.
Really?
No, it doesn't work with the shit in the grass. Works great on the concrete drive, like if there's nuts or rocks or whatever, like it'll broom them right off. In the grass, it basically just either wants to shove you over backwards or just digs. It's useless.
No kidding.
Yeah, it doesn't
I'll
work.
be damned.
The broom works great on the concrete. It's too heavy to use anyway, though. That's probably my least favorite Milwaukee tool, but I still have it.
Yep.
I haven't sold it off. It'll be okay in the grain bin going forward, knowing what I know now. But normally, I don't have a ton of help on that. So
it's amazing though what the battery powered stuff will do. And shit, we got our first Snap-on impact. Oh God, in 2009 or 10. I mean, it's a long time ago. And it's like there was no, because we were all skeptical at first.
Yeah,
it's like there's no difference. In fact, it might even be a little bit better than the Air one.
It's better than the Air one.
Yeah,
I had a ton of the first Snap-on electric ones. We bought a round of those, and then we got to. They weren't super expensive, so we burned one or two of them up eventually. Like putting stuff together, like tillage tools and whatnot, doing a lot of it like quick, you could burn one down.
Yep.
So we kind of got to where we just rotate them pretty quick.
Yep.
But then they jacked the price so high. It's like, I can't really afford to do that. And then it wasn't too long after that, Milwaukee started getting in the game, and it's like, well... And so we kind of phased out of the Snap-on stuff. I actually had a ton of Snap-on stuff the other day I just got rid of because we didn't use it. Like, I'm never going to grab that one. Even knowing that I only need 400 foot-pounds and this one has 600, I'm still going to grab the 1,800 foot-pound Milwaukee. Like, I'm just going to grab the big one, knowing that the next second later I'm going to need it. To hell with it. I got rid of all that Snap-on stuff.
Yeah.
But it was all NiCad battery stuff. It was older. But
sure. Yeah.
But, it's tough to beat some of that. Like, I got the big inch drive one. The thought of grabbing the inch drive air gun is a last resort.
Right.
Like, that is General Custer. The Indians are coming over the hill.
Right.
Excuse me. The indigenous people are coming over the hill.
Yeah.
Like, I never even crosses my mind to grab the inch gun.
Well, and I've run into that, too, at our shop. It's like... You almost sit here and think, well, I mean, if this one didn't get it, I don't know why the Air one would, because it's like this one has more power, But there has been a lot of times where the Air one did get it. Once in a while,
the Air one will get it because you can let it hammer on it longer without feeling bad about it. It doesn't get hot. You're not going to catch your hands on fire. You're going to let the smoke out of it. You're like, well, this Air one can hammer for a while. It'll be fine. But there are a few things I wish Milwaukee would make. Like, I wish they'd come out with an air hammer. Obviously, it wouldn't be an air hammer, but an electric hammer even full well knowing it's not going to hit as hard and it's not going to hit as long, but there's just times where that hose is in your way. Like on the job, if you just had a little bit of burp.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times, that's all it needs.
That's all it needs. Yeah. It'd just be super handy. So if the Milwaukee folks are listening, I need that.
And we'd be more than happy to try out any tools that you have.
Yeah, whatever you want to send our way. Red is my favorite color, so go ahead.
Because, we kind of do like the wall a little bit. You got to kind of convince us here.
We're going to need a little something. Yeah.
Goddamn, like at Louisville at the farm show, that Milwaukee booth.
Oh, it's just swamped.
It's crazy.
You would swear there wasn't a single farmer there that had an electric tool. Like those guys are buying that shit. Oh, show special. It's the same price as the shit was at home.
Exactly.
You know it was $10 one way or the other.
After what I did at Estes this year, maybe I should get hooked up with Milwaukee. Let's see if we can get the whole show to the Milwaukee booth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're gonna shut it down over there.
Yeah, but they're grease gun. I mean, we got a Milwaukee grease gun. I mean, I love it all. It's great.
I got 5 of them.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Leaf blowers.
Can you fathom the amount of grease that people go through now versus before the electric grease gun?
Way more.
I remember getting that first Lincoln. You're like, And
I've still got the slow Milwaukee,
and that was awesome. Like I was super happy about that. That was a drastic improvement. Like the pistol grip was a huge revelation. Over the lever, and then you get we had an air one for a while. It's like, it's okay, but now I'm dragging a hose. I don't know how much grease I'm getting, et cetera, et cetera. Then you get a Lincoln, you're like, and
it was revolutionary.
And then I had a Snap-on grease gun. I had several of them. My biggest complaint with that one was when the guys were putting stuff together and you're crawling underneath that shit, they would occasionally grab it and they would put pressure on it and break the tube off. Milwaukee obviously had the same problem. They said, well, shit, with that, we'll just put pads on it. Yeah. So you literally can pick yourself up by that grease gun.
Yep.
As you're crawling underneath it, scrolling around, it doesn't hurt it. You're not on the tube. It's not going to break it. And the tube's supported. You're good. And I think I have 5 of them now. Yep. I literally, have to grease my lawnmower a couple times a year. I got one at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I need one at home? No.
Yep.
But do I have one? Absolutely.
Yeah, like I say, ours, I'm going to call it the first gen Milwaukee. It makes about 1 pump a second or, where these other guys got that ones, I mean, they just, it's like a machine gun.
Well, it's just like tomorrow, my son and my nephew are going to start greasing. That's my job for them tomorrow. They're going to grease stuff up for spring. That sulfur takes a ton of grease. I'm just going to tell them, I'm going to set it to 50, pull the trigger twice, move on.
Yeah.
Simple. Easy peasy. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to look for grease coming out anywhere. You just pull it twice. That's 100 pumps. And every one of those bearings, you'll be good to go.
Yep.
I'll be happy. They'll be happy. Everybody be covered in grease. It'll be a great day. That's what tomorrow's official. Get grease all over you today.
Yeah. No shit. Yep.
But if you're doing that with the lever style,
oh my God,
you're putting 6 pumps in that and moving on. Yeah, you're doing the whole, there's grease on the tip. I must have greased it. Surely Dad won't notice. I got grease on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be the arm wrestling champion by the end of that deal.
That ain't no shit.
Yeah, I don't miss them days at all.
No, that's for sure. But even simple stuff like the Milwaukee water pump. What was I doing? Oh, I was putting a new sump pump in. Got my little M18 pump out, pump the sump hole out, just click it on.
Yep.
Just pumping it out. No problem. The hole's dry. Can do what I want to do while the water's running in. No problem. No harm, no foul. I bought one of those M12 ones with the long stem on it. You can stick in a bucket or, a hole or whatever and pump out. I spent 30 minutes just pumping water in and out of a bucket onto the ground just to watch it work.
Exactly.
I don't know when I'm going to use it, but when I need it, I've got it, and it works phenomenal.
Yep.
I know it's going to. It works good.
Hell yes.
Every radio around my place is a Milwaukee radio because it charges a battery, does something, this, that, and the other. My daughter going to a softball tournament, going to the state softball tournament whenever it was. Dad, I need a radio. Here you go.
Yep.
This battery will take you all the way there And probably all the way back.
Yeah.
Now she just give it back to me.
Yeah.
I could use it again.
Exactly.
I never got that back.
Yep. God, we went way long on this one, but that's all right. Everybody's
we did.
bitching, wanting podcasts.
Yeah, so we give you a long one to listen
Damn
to.
right.
And we cost some people some money because there's some people going to buy some Milwaukee shit now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're welcome, Milwaukee.
Yeah, no shit, fuckers. Well, we're going to cut it off here. We appreciate it if you made it all the way through. This is a long one. That's all right. Anyway, we will catch you guys next time.